This is the money conversation that could save your marriage. If you don't know who I am, my name is Brian Lessinger. I sit in a lot of living rooms because I've been selling real estate for almost 30 years. And my degree is in money, my finance and economics degree. And so I get to sit in front of married couples a lot in their living rooms, sometimes at the best times of their lives and sometimes at the worst. And if you're not having conversations about money, then there's a reason why a lot of people out selling their homes are getting divorced. But these are conversations that can actually save your marriage. Because here's what I will tell you. A lot of people, they have these feelings about money and they come from different backgrounds about money, but they're never communicating with each other about money. Because if you're like me and you met your spouse, we were 20 and 21 years old, we were not having those conversations at that time about money. And it was something that we learned later, which actually worked out really well because we made plenty of money and we had our ups and downs, all that kind of stuff. And so, as always, we want to talk about a few points here. But most couples, first off, they don't have a money or an income problem. That's not usually the first problem. The problem is they have an honesty issue where one person's simply more of a saver and investor, one person is more of a spender, and maybe they have separate accounts. They join their accounts, they share their money, they don't share their money. Like everybody has their own ways of doing it. I don't really care which way you do it as long as that you're paying attention and you're doing it together. But one person is usually more scared financially because they want to be more long-term thinker. And one person is more, let's spend now, F it, let's enjoy the money now, buy a boat, go on a trip, buy the fancy new car, get the house or the clothes or whatever it is that might be more expensive than they can really afford. So one person usually is avoiding those numbers. They don't want to hear things like budgeting and paying attention to your money and all that stuff. And the other person's like all into it. And so it's kind of this whole opposite attracts thing. So we're going to talk about three major points. These are the points that can absolutely not just save your marriage, save your relationship, whatever it might be, because everybody's, situation is a little bit different, but you have to know these things, okay? So number one is this: money secrecy, right? Spending money on your own, using cash, kind of doing something separately is definitely more dangerous than money mistakes. Meaning, if you guys secretly have your own bank accounts, or maybe something happens and you get a bonus at work or you get a raise or something comes up and you're not sharing that information with your significant other, the person that you share your finances with, that is just effed up, to be honest with you. That is just seriously effed up. And so you have to be on the same team with money and finance. I always feel like if you could find a way where your income is good enough, where you're living on one person's income and then you're saving, investing the other person's income, that would be the way to do it. So let's flash back and give you my personal examples like I always do. Let's flash back 30 plus years ago when I was the one who had the corporate job. So I had the insurance benefits, I had all the retirement accounts, I had on-site daycare. So we were basically trying to live our life off of my income. While at the time, my young, inexperienced, just starting a real estate wife was getting into the real estate business. So we had no idea if she was going to make any money or not. And what we were able to do is by the time we were deducting all the things that we were deducting, I literally was taking home less than 50% of what my income was. But we were doing all those things off the top. And then our lifestyle got better or worse based upon what kind of revenues we could generate from our real estate business. And of course, I was one of the biggest people trying to generate business because it was money that went to us, not her by herself, us together. And so because we were on the same page, yeah, there were times where there were things we could do and there were things we couldn't do. But money-wise, conversation-wise, there were no secrets. So you can't be secretive. You can't do this stuff behind the scenes. You can't not tell the person that you're doing all this stuff with that there's money there that isn't being shared together. So that's one of the biggest ones. And it's unfortunate because I see these situations where maybe someone goes out and gets an equity line of credit against the house, or gets a credit card the other person doesn't know about, or gets themselves into debt that they shouldn't be in. And so there's a lot of shame and guilt and anger in those kind of situations. And so just make sure there's no secrecy, because that secrecy is going to be far worse than just a bad financial decision that we can make. Okay. The second point is this: the goal is not to win every argument when it comes about finance and money. It's to get on the same side, get on the same page, do things together. And again, when we went damn near broke during the Great Recession, yeah, we were not happy about it, but we weren't aggressively arguing, getting mad at each other, because these were just decisions we made that we decided. Yeah, one person may have had more influence on those decisions than the other, but the person who had less influence can't just go get pissed off or mad or just say, what the hell? Because once you decide, there's no looking back. There's no going backwards. Some investments and things will work out great. Some things maybe don't work out so great. Maybe a job change and for different income works out. Sometimes it doesn't work out. So you just want to make sure you're having the conversations, that you're on the damn same page with this stuff, because again, secrecy and things behind the scene are just not going to work. And the next one is this: if you can have A weekly conversation, you can prevent years and years and years of resentment and arguments about money and finance. And here's the thing, whether you're going to do it monthly, quarterly, biannually, annually, and maybe the meetings are a little bit different, but you have to be on the same page about money and finance. And so if you're not having these conversations, this is where you're going to lose. Okay. You have to be on the same page, and take it from someone who, again, I've been in a real estate business for 30 years. So I get to sit in living rooms all the time and talk to people about their financial situation, right? Do you have a loan on your house? Do you have one loan? Do you have two loans? Do you have any equity built up in this house because we think the value is this, or are we upside down? And unfortunately, I did lots of short sales. I did lots of foreclosures and sold lots of properties for people. That wasn't always their fault. Maybe they were communicating about these things. But if you're communicating and you have financial disaster, then you can just start from zero and move forward in your life together. Because again, it's one of the biggest reasons why you see relationships and couples and marriages fall apart. And it is not something that you want to have something happen to you personally that way. I know if people went and saw what our financial situation, let's say from 2000 to 2025 was, as we went up and down, and hell, I've been divorced now for almost 6 years. And what's funny is at the time we're shooting this video, we literally are selling the last asset we own together. So me and a partner and my ex-wife still own an asset together because we knew it was smarter to keep these assets than it was to try to do something at the time we decided to get divorced. So you can, even after the fact, put on your big girl pants and put on your big boy pants and not screw up your money and finance, because it is hard enough to get ahead financially in today's world. As we all know, everything's gotten way more expensive. Housing, just general utilities and bills, foods, gas, everything right now, at the time I'm shooting this, is way more expensive than it was just 6 or 12 months ago. But that doesn't mean that the person that maybe you're getting separated from or trying to save your marriage with isn't the person that you can have these conversations with, because money is something that you've worked really hard to earn, hopefully, hard to save and invest and do those things. And it is not a time to go do something silly and stupid and just be secretive and not have those conversations. So if you're trying to figure out the best ways to do this, there is no best way. Some people like to keep their money a little more separate. We, doing what we did, we got married super young, we did all our money combined. So we always knew every dollar that was coming in and out. But in today's modern world, as people are getting married later and later and later, then you see people where they're coming into these relationships with a lot more assets than I did when I started. So there isn't a right way or a wrong way. There's just a way to either communicate it and be open and out front and do it that way, versus being secretive and doing things behind the scenes and then causing bigger problems and issues down the road. So if you're trying to figure these things out, by all means, reach out to me. Let me know how we can help you do this kind of stuff. Because again, these conversations, open, honest, they're not going to be perfect, but just know, you got to get on the same page, and just a lot of times you're coming from a different perspective and you want to make sure that you can win at this game of money and finance. So reach out, ask the questions, check out more videos in the channel, and we'll see you again here real soon.